my name is Janelle, and I'm a physical exercise specialist at CFP Shiloh. And today we're going to do a workout from the reconditioning program. It's R4P, Rehab for Performance. We're going to do some exercises from the spine program, modified to fit the equipment that you might have at home. So if you have a long band or some bands at home, that would be fantastic. While we do the warm-up, we're not going to go in super great detail. So if you want a little bit more knowledge, you can check out the movement prep video that was previously posted on the channel, and it will give you more details. So starting off, we're going to do a hip lift, all right? So you can do this with or without a band. I'll demonstrate first without a band, and I'll go through the workout with you. So we're going to come up into a bridge, and we're going to be on our heels with our toes pointed up. So coming onto your shoulder blades, bringing up those hips nice and high, pelvic tilt. So there's a nice straight line from your shoulders to your knees, and you're going to lift one knee up close to your chest. And you're going to hold for 5 seconds. Then we're going to come down, and we're going to again press through our heel, toe up, keeping our hips nice and even, holding for the second one for approximately 5 seconds. Coming back down. Coming up, so this is number 3. Lifting through the heel, bringing your hips up. Making sure your shoulders are underneath you. Hips nice and square. Holding with a few more. So you don't want any sagging or shifting or rotating on those hips. You can also have your hands on the ground. Lift up. Contract the core, and then one more on this side. All right, switching to the other side now. Again, coming up onto your shoulder blades. Pressing through the heel. We're going to bring that knee into our chest, keeping our hips as high as we can, holding for 5 seconds, coming back down. Now, the reason I said the band is because if you want to add the band, you can. And you would just put the band around your hips, and then use a little bit of a pressure to hold down just a bit. Now, you don't want to use so much pressure that you fall back to the ground, but just enough to make it more challenging. Lift again. So that is another option. Lifting. Again, you can have your hands on your hips or on the mat. Toe off the ground. Couple more. And one more. So lifting up, knee to the chest, keep breathing. All right, excellent. Okay. So next one is the single leg deadlift. And if you have a big band, you can use it. And if you have something that you can reach down and touch to, anything in your house or wherever you are, you can grab that item as well. So I'm putting the band around my foot and around my shoulder just to keep my leg as straight as I can by pushing out. So doing a hip hinge, reaching down, touching, coming back up. So with this one, I can have a bend in my leg, and then come back down. So this will be 3. I want to keep my hips square, toe pointing down. Excellent. Couple more. And I want to hinge from my hips, keeping my back nice and long. Excellent. So switching to the other side. So whatever foot is forward, that's the hand that's going to go down. All right. So next side. So again, hinge from the hips. You can keep that stance leg bent. Toe pointed down. 2, 3. Try and keep that back leg straight. You can have a slight bend. Excellent. Couple more. 3 more. Oops. Hips are square, legs back. Toes pointed down. Okay. Good. So next we're going to do a lumbar lock rotation extension. So I'm going to grab the mat again. And we're going to sit down. And I'm going to put my right elbow on my right knee and my left hand behind me. Sitting on my heels, looking up. Breathing nice and deep. Coming back down. Looking up again, keeping my hips on my heels. One more on this side. And a deep breathing. All right, switching down to the other side. Left elbow, left knee, right hand behind us, looking up. Coming back down. Again, I'm still sitting on my heels. And then one more. Opening up the chest. Coming back down. All right, next is a forward bend step series. Now this one is for if you can't really touch the ground or you can't get your hands flat in the ground. This just helps out a little bit. Okay, so for this one, what we're going to need is something to put your heels on. So you can use books, anything that you sort of that's flat to the ground, weight plates, and then you're going to use a box, something that's not too high depending on how much you can lift. And then you're going to need something to put in between your knees, okay? So, you can use board, books, box, you can use a stair at home, anything that's not going to move. And to start off with, we're going to put it in between our knees. And we're going to squeeze, and the squeezing part's important. So we're going to inhale, reach up, exhale, lean forward, shift your weight forward, keep a micro bend in our knees, and then come back. So inhale, exhale, lean forward, shift your weight onto your shoulders, onto your wrists, come back, inhale, this will be 3, and you change the height as you need. So you want to feel it in the back of your legs. You also want to make sure it's a distance that you can shift your weight forward. If you're barely touching, that might not be successful. And one more. Inhale, shift your weight forward. Okay, now we're going to do feet flat on the ground. Inhale again, squeezing in between the knees, shifting our weight forward. Coming back, that's 1, inhale, exhale down, shift forward, 2, inhale, exhale, 3, and you should kind of feel it in the back there, your legs, 2 more. And then 1 more. Shift your weight forward. Okay, the last we're going to do, you're going to put the board or the raised surface, your toes on it, okay, nice and close to where you're leaning down. You're going to inhale. This is the most challenging one. And you're going to shift your weight forward, keeping a slight bend in those knees. Come back. Inhale, exhale down. Really squeeze those knees together because the squeezing allows you to come down just a little bit more. This will be number 3. Shift your weight forward. 2 more. Inhale, exhale, and 1 more. Inhale, and exhale. Excellent. So we'll move this equipment out of the way. And we're going to go into world's greatest stretch. So we're going to do 2 reps each side with this one. I'll do 1 forward and 1 to the side. So starting with 1 leg forward. So put your right foot forward. You're going to bring your right elbow to your instep. And you're going to hold, and if you choose, you can pick that back leg up. Holding here for 5 seconds. Then taking your front arm up to the air, stacking your shoulders, keeping this foot flat on the ground, holding for another 5 seconds. Bringing your front arm down on the other side of your front foot, shifting your weight back, trying to straighten both your legs, bringing your back heel down and your front toe up, keeping your hands on the ground. Then coming up into a lunge position, square first, knee and front knee and ankle kind of in line, and then rotate toward your knee. 4, 5. Okay, let's switch sides. So on the instep, other side, knee can be on the ground or off, holding for 5 seconds here. Taking that front arm straight up, holding for 5 seconds, bringing that hand down on the other side of your leg, shifting your weight back, trying to straighten both your legs, back heels going towards the ground, front toes up, coming up into a lunge, holding for 5 seconds, then rotating. Excellent. Okay, now doing it to the side. Okay, so remember that front elbow, whichever foot's forward, that arm is what's going to go into the instep. Holding for 5 seconds. Reaching up. Shifting our weight back, both arms to the ground. And then coming up into a lunge. And then rotating in towards the knee. All right. Other side, 1 more. So other foot, elbow to instep, 5 seconds. Bring that arm up. Bring that arm down. Shift your weight back. And then coming up into the lunge. And then turning in towards that knee for the 5 seconds. Excellent. Okay. Now we're going to do the band box walk. So if you have some bands, you can grab them. Making sure that there's no holes or rips, or using the ones that are tied. They're tied nice and tight. You're going to take one that's a little bit stronger, and you're going to put it just above your knees. And then one that might be just a tad bit not as strong, so that your feet can move into the full range of motion. And because we're short on room, we're just going to do 5 steps to each side. So feet shoulder width apart, semi-squat, keeping the bands apart, taking a step forward with a pause. Step forward with a pause, keeping your feet shoulder width apart. Excellent. Then going to the side. Nice wide step, knees apart. Step, pause, almost together. Keeping that chest up. Now going backwards, stepping all the way through. in the other direction this time. Wide step, making sure the knees don't come in. One more time through. Remember that step with the pause. To the side. Step, pause, almost together. Keep tension on that band the entire time. And then backwards. And you can keep your feet shoulder width apart. And then going back to the side. Excellent. Okay. So now I'm going to do the sumo squat to stand. So I'm going to put the lighter band around my knees for this one. And I'm going to grab my longer band for my hands. And I'm also going to grab a heel lift or a board or something, books, whatever you have, in case you'd like to use it. So if you have a lack of ankle mobility or any other tightness in your body, sometimes it works to use your heels raised. You'll get into a little bit more of that deeper position. So for this one, you're going to have your hands on the wide band or strap, whatever you happen to have. Feet a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. Reach down, touch your toes. Straighten your legs. Come down to the low squat position with your elbows on the inside. Reach up. Hold here. 5 seconds. And then stand. So I'm going to show with your heels on the ground. Okay, so touch the toes. Straighten the legs. Come down to the low squat position. Torso stays upright. Pull your arms apart. Arms are by your ears. And then you're going to stand after holding 5 seconds on your bottom. One more. Reach down, touch your toes. Straighten your legs as much as you can. Low squat position. Arms are up. Holding for 5 seconds. And then standing. All right. So that is the warm-up. Let's get into some of the exercises. Just move some of the equipment out of the way. We're going to need a mat. And we're going to start with some planks. So, first exercise we're going to do is a front plank from your forearms with a leg lift. Now there's 2 different ways to do this. From your knees or from your toes. I'm going to give you guys options. I'm going to show you both. So when you get down into the plank, you want to make sure that your shoulders and your elbows are in line. And then keeping your body nice and straight. First level I'll show you. Hips off the ground. Bringing one leg, lifting it up. Holding for about 5 seconds or all the way up to 10. Shifting it back down. Or placing it back down. Holding up the other side. Now with this, you want to make sure that you keep your hips as steady as you can and that your body's as flat as you can. So we don't want hips up in the air, we don't want sort of a downward or upward dog position. So from the toes, it's going to look like this. Squeezing the core, lifting up. Four, 5. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do 4 on each side, take a break, 3 on each side, take a break, and then 2 on each side, take a break, for a total of 8, 6, and 4. Now you choose which level that you feel comfortable doing, and feet wider apart is more challenging. So I'm going to do the numbers, I'm going to do a mixed to show you both of the techniques. With the knees and from the toes. So you choose whichever level, and you can also start from your toes and always drop down to your knees if you need to as well. Okay, so let's start. So making sure we're set up. Coming up into the plank, lifting one leg, holding for 5 seconds. Switching. Keep breathing, keep that core tight. There, we've done 1 each side. Good. 2 down each side. 3 each side. 4 each side, and I'll come down for the last one. Switching. All right, excellent. So that's our first set. So take a break in between. We're going to move through this workout quickly, so if you want to stop or pause and take a little bit longer of a break, you can. All right. So moving to our second set, which is going to be 3 each side. So again, from your knees or from your toes. So lifting up, holding, 2, 3, 4, 5, switching, keep breathing, 1 each side down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 each side down, 1 more each side. All right, quick break, grab water if you need it or if you have it nearby. 2 sets down, we're going to do 1 more set, and this is going to be 2 each side. So this one I'll demonstrate on my knees again, and I'll take my knees a little bit wider apart as well. So anywhere from 30 seconds up to 2 minutes, you can recover. Okay, so we're going to come back down, we're going to do the third set. So I'm going to use my knees a little bit wider apart this time. I'm going to lift. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 more each side. Trying to keep the hips as square as you can. And then alternating. All right, excellent. So that's the first exercise done. Next one is going to be, same thing, a plank, but this time we're going to do an arm lift. And this one is very challenging. So again, there's 2 different levels. From the knees, which I'll demonstrate right now. And you want your knees to be nice and wide. You want a wide base of support for this one when you're first starting off. And then you're just going to lift 1 arm, hold it straight out, 5 seconds, switch to the other side. And again, when you're using your feet, you also want a nice wide base of support. And then as you get stronger, you can try bringing your legs a little bit. What happens if you start with your feet in too far, a lot of times it turns into sort of a twisting motion, and we want the body to be square. So for the toe one, I'll actually show it while we get started into our 4 each side. Okay, so feet nice and wide. So you're going to come up, and you're going to lift. And then you're going to switch. Okay, we're going to switch again. Keep breathing, holding for 5 seconds, switch. 2 more each side. Okay, I'm going to come down to show the last 2. Holding 5 seconds or longer. And recover. Excellent. Shake it out, quick break. And then we'll do 3 each side. Whew. So again, from your knees or from your toes. And you can always start on your toes and then drop down to your knees at any time. So I'm going to start from my toes again, and we're going to do 3 each side. And again, if you want to go at your own pace and stop and pause, you can, and hold it for even 10 seconds. That's totally up to you. Or you can make it a little bit more challenging by bringing your feet in. Just keep in mind that you really want to keep that form. Okay, so coming up, lifting, switching, 1 each side down. Okay, switch. Coming down for the last 2 to show from the knees. Keep in mind that my hips are not way up in the air. And break. 1 more set. Last set I'm going to do completely from my toes. And then you can work on bringing those legs in as you build up the strength to feel more comfortable, or you can leave your legs out and just hold a little bit longer. Okay, 1 more set to go. Hope everyone's doing well and enjoying it. This is meant to be challenging. And you really want to try and keep that body as square as possible. Okay, so 1 more set to go. So lifting up into the plank, keeping that core nice and tight, switch. 1 more switch. Last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, excellent work, everybody. Take a quick break here because the next one is going to be side plank with the leg lift. So there's actually 3 different levels to this one. So as we're recovering, I'll demonstrate the different levels. Again, it's going to be 4 each side, 3 each side, and 2 each side. So with this one here, the first level, and you want to make sure again that your elbow and your shoulder are in line, or relatively in line, because you don't want to be a huge angle because it's a lot of pressure in an unstable position. So as close to in line as you can grab. And then you're going to start off from your knee for level 1, coming up into a plank with 1 leg straight. You want to keep your body nice and straight from your shoulder down. You're just going to lift that leg. It doesn't have to be very high. And we're just going to hold for 5 seconds. So that's level 1. Level 2 is going to be a side plank with your feet stacked. And we're just going to hold up, shoulders in line. Sometimes I tend to lean forward, but you want to keep them in line. Dip down and hold. So you're holding that 5 to 10 seconds again. And then the last one is the most challenging one. And it's going to be with the leg left. So you're going to come up to the plank, and you're going to lift up, and you're going to hold for 5 seconds. All right, so we're going to do 4 each side, 3 each side, and 2 each side. I'm going to switch sides to give that one shoulder a break. So you can start out from your toes, and if you find that you're getting really challenged or you're starting to sag, you can always switch to one of the other levels, and then the next set we'll restart from the toes again. So I'm going to do 2 from my feet, and then I'll do 2 from my knees in this one, and in the next set I'll show you some of the level 2. So you do whatever level you feel is comfortable. Again, trying to find shoulder and elbow as close in line as you can get them. Okay, so starting from my toes for the first one. Coming up, I'm going to lift up that leg and I'm going to hold for 5 seconds. 5, I'm going to lift it up again. Okay, and then I'm going to come down to my knee to show this level. And we'll do 2 from here. Come down, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to switch to the other side. So again, take a break in between sides. We are moving fairly quickly the video not to be too long. Okay, so from the toes for the first one. Lifting up the leg. Coming back down, lifting up again. Coming back down, going back up to that knee. 4, 5, come back down. Excellent, good. Now I'm going to do a couple of the dips of level 2 for this next one, and then 1 from my feet. So this will be 3 each side, again with that 5 to 10 second hold. Okay, so going back to the original side, making sure everything's in line. Try to keep your shoulders in line with each other. Okay, make sure. Breathing tucked in there? Okay. So you're going to start from your feet for this one as well. Coming up into the plank. So when you're doing the plank, you don't want your calf or anything to be lying on the bottom there either if you can help it. We're going to hold for 5 seconds. 4, come down to a dip. Come back up, we're going to hold for 5 seconds. And then we're going to lift that leg for the other one because I'm going to show you the third level. Okay. And then we'll come over to the other side. So choose a level and you can keep with that one throughout and then switch down or change if you need to. Okay, so starting with the dip on this side again. So holding for 5 seconds. Dip. And then I'm going to do a leg lift for the last one. Excellent. All right. So the last set I'm going to do from my knees, just to show you that set as well. But again, you can go from your toes and do either of those levels that we just did. Okay. So coming down, coming onto your knee. So even though you're on your knee, you don't want to be sinking. You want to be nice and straight. Front leg out, lifting, 3, 4, 5, come back down, lift up again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Switching to the other side, realigning, coming up into the plank, lifting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Quick recovery as we switch to the next exercise, which is going to be the bridge or the reverse plank on a board, or a board, I should say a block, a box, whatever you have to hold this that is sturdy. So like if you have a stair, you can set your body out from, something that's not going to collapse or cave, putting books in the box. And there's 2 different options, actually 3 different options if you choose the band as well. So I'll demonstrate the 2 options and then I will do sets using both of them. Okay, so this one's similar to the first warm-up exercise that we did. Only now we're going to straighten our leg out to the front. And again, it's going to be 4, 3, 2 each side, holding for 5 seconds, or 10 seconds if you choose. So, legs further apart is more difficult. Or you can start with your feet shoulder width apart. Okay, again, we're going to be on our heels and our toes are going to be pointed up. And we're going to kind of come up here. We're going to put our shoulder blades underneath us. We're going to bring those hips up nice and high with the pelvic tilt. And if you want to put your hands on the ground, or if you want to put them on your hips so you know if they're shifting, you can. And you're going to lift. We're going to hold for 5 seconds. Just do it quickly because we're going to demonstrate the other one. Making sure that there's no hip shifting, one side sagging. Okay, for this one over here, a little bit different. So, this one you're actually going to put your feet on the box, okay? So the more you have of your foot, the easier it'll be, and the less you have. So if you have your ankles or your bottom of your foot, the harder and more challenging it will be. So you're going to come down, and you want to keep a slight bend in your knees, but you don't want a super bend, and you don't want to hyperextend. So you're just going to come up again, feet nice and flat. All right, and you're going to lift. Try to keep your hips steady again. Okay, so those are your options. So if you want to start from the box, from the get-go, you can. I'm going to start, and I'm going to show you the single leg, and then I'll move to the box. Okay. Another option is, again, like we showed at the beginning, putting this over your hips, just providing a little bit of resistance for that hip thrust, or to keep the bridge while we are doing the leg lift. But again, you want to be careful you don't pull yourself down too far. Okay. So, here we go. We're going to do 4 each side, 5-second hold again. Okay, so we'll get ourselves aligned. And we're going to come up onto our shoulder blades underneath us. Hips up nice and high. And we're going to take one leg and we're going to lift it up. It doesn't have to go super high. We're going to put it back down. And we're going to lift the other leg up. We're going to hold for approximately 5 seconds. That's 1 each side. Three, 4, 5, 2 each side. Again, that leg doesn't have to be all the way up. It can just be extended straight out. 1 more each side. Last one. Okay, then I'm going to move to the box. We'll do 3 each side. And then I'll come back down with the band. So grab some water, take a quick recovery. Okay. All right, so everyone ready? Good. Okay, coming up. So you choose, so if you want to make it a bit easier, you can bring a little bit more of your foot onto the box. And make sure the box isn't moving. Okay, and we're going to switch to the other side. Again, this is very challenging, or it's meant to be. Okay, switching. And then while we're finishing, I'll show you with your legs a little bit more on the box, what that looks like. 1 more. Okay. Quick break, and then we'll do the last one, 2 each side. And I'm going to use the band this time. Okay. So you can put your hands through it, reach the floor, depending on the length of the band and the strap or whatever it is that you're using. Okay. And you're going to come up onto your shoulder blades, or shoulder blade underneath you. And you're going to lift your hips and pelvis up. Put the hands close to the ground, and we're going to extend. We're going to switch sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 more each side. Make sure that you're not pushing yourself back down. All right, and we're done that exercise. Okay, so I'm going to move the box out of the way here. We've got 1 more, and this one does require bands, so you can choose to do it or not. And it's called the pull-off press. So I've got a cable in here, so I'm actually going to use it, but you can use a band. Just make sure that the band is attached to whatever surface you're doing. You've looped it through, it's not going to come undone. And then you would just use it. Or if you have a cable or anything else around there, feel free. And there's also bands out there with handles that you can use too, that you can just thread and move through. When you pull, you just want to make sure that it's fully attached to whatever fixture. You want to make sure it's not moving as well. So you want to set that about shoulder height. And we're going to start from our knees. You want your hips square, so you want the fulcrum just off to the side, and you want your hips fully extended. You're going to bring the handles or the band to your chest. And what you're going to do is take it out forward, straight in front of your shoulders. Okay, shoulders down. Slight bend in the elbows, but not a super bend. We're going to hold for 10 seconds. Keep breathing. Come back in for 1 second, and then re-extend, reline. Now you want enough weight or enough tension or position your body away from the band so that there's the tension, so that you're feeling like you kind of want to turn, but you're not going to. All right, this is on to our third. Deep breathing. One more. Back in for a second, out for 10 seconds. Okay, then we're going to switch and we're going to go to the other side. So I'm going to do this one at an angle, just so that you can kind of see my back's not completely turned against you. Again, hip square, reach out, count to 10. Come back in for that 1 second. Reach out again, shoulders down. I have it bringing mine up. You want to keep those shoulders down. Arms straight out in front of you. Come back in. 2 more. One more. Okay, so for the next one, so we'll take a quick break. I'm going to show you standing. So this is another level. So you always want to start down, get the knees, the knee level, or on the knees. Get that nice and stable, and then you can try the standing one. Okay, so from here, athletic stance, feet shoulder width apart. Hands together, reach out in front of you. Again, you have enough resistance or tension that it wants to turn you, but you're not quite turning. You're challenged to keep yourself completely square. Come back in for a second, holding out for another 10 seconds. And then we've got one more. All right, other side. Again, I'm going to do it kind of on an angle, just so that you can kind of still see me a bit. So, reaching forward, holding out for 10 seconds, shoulders down, arms straight out in front of you. Come back in, 2 more to go. Reach that weight, or weight tension, cable, whatever you've got, back out. Come back in, 1 more. Excellent. So, 1 more set, and again, it's 2 each side. We're sticking with 4-3-2. And I'm going to go back to my knees for this one, but you can stay standing if you choose to. And taking a break as much as you need in between. Okay, so here we go. But you won't take too long of a break or your body will cool down. Okay. Bring it back in, holding it out. Keep breathing, keep that core contracted. All right, 2 more on the other side. So starting within the center, reaching forward. Come back in, and then 1 more. All right, so that's the workout for today. Now we're going to get into the stretches. So we want to finish off while we're nice and warm with some stretches, regeneration stretches. table or counter or dresser, whatever you kind of have, or if you have boxes or something that's sturdy, and you're just going to bring one leg across, okay? And you can change the height or find different heights of objects around. Now I've got my left leg up, so what I want to do is I want to make sure that my right toe is turned towards my left knee. Alright, and I want my left leg to be entirely on the box. Now I can do the stretch standing, straight up, or I can hinge from the hips, keeping my back nice and long, and lean a little bit further forward, depending upon the tightness of your hips or your glutes. And you want to hold for about 30 seconds to a minute. And you can also do these stretches twice on each side. For today's video, we're only doing one each side for about 30 seconds, but you can do a little bit longer of a stretch too. And again, making sure that you don't collapse. You want to keep that chest nice and strong so that you can continue with that deep breathing. And it's okay if you're not quite, legs not quite down, you can always go to a lower surface as well. And then again, if you want to come down just a little bit more. All right, let's switch to the other side. So you're going to bring your other leg up. All right, you're going to have your leg up in front of you. And you'll notice one side's a little bit easier than the other. And your opposite foot on the floor, that toe is going to point towards the knee. And again, you can start by standing up, or you can add a little bit of the lean if you want that extra stretch. Make sure that your entire heel and everything is on the table or the box, wherever you are. Deep breathing. Again, can add a little bit of that stretch. We'll go for a little bit longer. All right, okay, so that's the table stretch. So now we're going to go into the pretzel. And if you have a wall, it works well on the wall so that your back is nice and straight. But I don't have a solid wall directly behind me, so I'm going to do it this way. And what you're going to do is you're going to bring one heel to your opposite glute, all right? And then you're going to take the other leg and you're going to try and bring it across that knee if you can, okay? Or as far as you can bring it. And then you're going to sit up nice and straight because we want to zip the back. So I would recommend doing it with the back against the wall. Nice and straight. And while I'm here, I've lifted off one of my glutes. I want to try and press that glute back down and stay nice and straight. And you should feel the stretch. You could feel it many different places, but around the hip areas, a little bit on the legs. Sitting up nice and straight, really pressing, because once you bring that leg over, the glute comes up, and you want to try and press both glute bones, or hip bones, whatever your glute bones, I guess, into sit bones, is the word I'm looking for, into the ground. And then you just really want to focus on deep breathing. Couple more seconds. All right, then slowly coming out of the pose. And then we're going to switch. So, opposite foot, you're going to have that against the opposite glute, that heel, if you can. And then you're going to bring another leg as far as you can. If you can't get it all the way across, that's okay. And then you're going to sit up nice and tall, and you're going to try and push that other glute down on the ground. Because right now you're kind of sitting up, depending on how your flexibility is. We just want to make sure that that sit bone's back down on the ground. And keeping that leg so it's not just collapsing, that bent knee. We'll hold for about 10 more seconds. Deep breathing. Okay, so now we're going to do the pretzel. Now this one here, depending upon your flexibility level, you can add a bound to it, and I'll show you how to do that. But basically what's going to happen is we're going to lie on our back. Okay, we'll just get into the camera a bit better. And we're going to bring one knee across. So you're going to be on your back, you're going to have one knee across, all right? So I've got my right knee across my body, so I'm going to put my left hand on my right knee, and then I'm going to grab with my right hand around the shoelaces of my left leg. And what I'm going to do is bring that left knee away from my right knee so that they're not together. And I'm going to work keeping this knee on the ground. I'm going to try and bring my foot and my shoulder down to the other side of the ground. Now, if you want something to prop up your knee or keep your head in line with your spine, you're welcome to. Pillow, towel rolled up, yoga block. And basically you should feel it in your quad and in your torso here. And it's okay if you don't get your shoulder back to the ground, that's totally fine. You're just working on getting your body down that way. Deep breathing, and then slowly coming out of the stretch. So when we do this, I'll show you, if you're having trouble reaching for your foot, okay? So left knee's on the ground, you can put the band around top of your toe. Make sure that your knee is not up against this leg, it's further away behind your hip bone, hip joint, and then you can just kind of pull it up this way. All right, if it doesn't feel comfortable grabbing it, that's another option. And then again, you're just going to try and lean back and put that other shoulder on the ground, keeping this knee stable. And again, you can have a block or something underneath it if you need to, or underneath your head to keep it in line. So we're just going to breathe here deeply for a few seconds. And making sure that that knee doesn't come close to the other heel to keep that quad stretch working. And then we're slowly going to release. Okay, we have one more stretch to do, and it's the Butzel 2.0. So for this one, you're going to get at right angle. So you're going to come and you're going to sit on your side, or one glute more, and you're going to have one leg out in front of you. And this one leg, the knee and ankle and the hip are all going to be in line. Same with the back leg. Hip, knee, ankle, everything's right angles and in line, okay? So first option I'm going to give you is to rotate behind, but keep your hands in close to you and keep yourself nice and tall lifting up. And then you just want to rotate to the back. Now another option is once you're in this position, you can straighten your front leg to add a little bit of a hamstring stretch in and intensify the stretch. And then again, look behind you, making sure that this knee hasn't sunk up. It's still behind, in line with the hip, and rotating. And you can also come down to your forearms, okay? Down a little bit more to the stretch, or you could do almost like a thread the needle option, where you put that hand down. Your option if you feel the stretch a little bit more this way. So let's go to the other side. We'll get set up into right angles. So hip, ankle, and knee in line, hip, ankle, and knee. And we'll start by rotating, always with whatever the front knee, that side. Looking behind us, again, second level, straightening that front knee. To add a little hamstring, but making sure that this leg doesn't creep up. And then the other option is come down a bit lower and rotating. So choosing one, we'll go for a few more seconds. But that is the end of the workout. Thank you very much for persisting, and hopefully you got a great workout out of it. And we'll see you again. Thank you for joining me. My name is Janelle.